The Bitcoin idea is, what if I just had a good asset and I didn't have to trade it and I didn't need a company to tell me what to think about it? What if I just bought it and it went up in value every year? MicroStrategy is a Bitcoin development company. So MicroStrategy's mission is to develop, advocate, support the adoption of Bitcoin everywhere in the world. So that's what we'll do. We'll do that forever. We will do that by buying Bitcoin every single quarter. Buy more Bitcoin. We'll buy it with cash flows. We'll buy it with debt. We'll buy it with equity. We'll buy it with any other capital markets activity that we can.
In just over a decade, cryptocurrencies have evolved from digital curiosities to trillion-dollar technologies that could potentially disrupt the global financial system. A growing number of investors now hold Bitcoin and various other cryptocurrencies as assets, and use them to purchase a wide range of goods and services, including software and digital real estates. Supporters argue that cryptocurrencies are a democratizing force, taking the power of money creation and control away from central banks and Wall Street. Echoing these sentiments, Michael Saylor, CEO of MicroStrategy, views Bitcoin as a form of digital capital and predicts its adoption by governments, corporations, and institutional investors. He highlighted Bitcoin's superior technology, simplicity, and efficiency, and emphasized MicroStrategy's commitment to purchasing and supporting it. Saylor believes Bitcoin represents digital wealth, much like the dollar represents physical currency. As the world becomes more digitally connected, he expects nations and businesses to adopt Bitcoin as a reserve asset, with institutional investors and sovereign wealth funds leading the way before central banks. Watch clips from the interview for further insights into Michael Saylor's discourse. Please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on post notifications for more content. Enjoy the video.
Bitcoin is digital capital. The dollar is the dollar. America's going to embrace digital capital, just like every country is going to embrace digital capital, just like they're going to embrace Google and Apple and Amazon and the internet and the like. They'll embrace it, but I don't think it changes how they handle the dollar. Central banks, maybe in time, the smaller central banks will embrace Bitcoin as a treasury reserve asset, but long before them, I think corporations will, institutional investors will, sovereign wealth funds will. And, 10 years is not that long a time in the history of things. I mean, if Bitcoin goes to $1 million, so it'll be somewhat more valuable than gold. But gold is still an insignificant asset. Gold is still an insignificant asset in every wealthy person's portfolio on Earth. So Bitcoin can go to $1 million a coin and be extremely successful, and it'll be starting to be embraced as digital capital, but we'll still be early. And I think Bitcoin is technology and it's digital capital, and I think there's a transformation of capital from analog to digital, and I think that every company, every government, every investor, every technologist will look at that, and people will embrace it at whatever rate they want to embrace it. So I think Bitcoin's going to spread like digital capital. I don't think you need any cataclysmic event for it to spread. I think it's just a better idea. It would spread regardless of whether there was a conflict. And, conflict, chaos, hyperinflation will accelerate the spread. But, if Apple Computer builds the Bitcoin into the iPhone, it's going to spread because Apple built Bitcoin into the iPhone. And why will they build it in the iPhone? Because they'll make hundreds of billions of dollars if they build it in the iPhone. Why wouldn't they want to make billions and billions of dollars? So people will do it because they can do it. And countries will adopt it at whatever rate, and investors will adopt it at whatever rate they will. It's just a better idea. It's digital capital, just like digital information. I don't know the role of digital photographs in the development of the Chinese, culture since Mao. Digital photographs have permeated society, right? This is digital capital. It's going to permeate society. What I'd say is Bitcoin, it doesn't solve all the problems in the world. It just solves half. It's the half where you need economic power or wealth to do anything, right? And the world seems very simple to me. It's like there's $900 trillion of wealth measured in dollars. The dollar will continue to expand 7 to 10% a year. That means in 7 to 10 years, there'll be twice as much of that. If Bitcoin, goes by a factor of 10 or a factor of 15, so it'll go from 1.3 trillion to 20 trillion, it could be 1% of the wealth of the world and be $1 million a coin, and the world will be whatever it's doing, right? So I'm not really, I'm not of the opinion that there needs to be some catastrophe or there'll be some major, world
event
order change. I think that this is just good technology. It's going to spread just like mobile phones spread.
According to Michael Saylor, the next 10 years will be a period of formation driven by digital money and intelligence. He believes that the move toward digital money will shake up company structures and financial institutions. He noted that digital intelligence is fast advancing and will have an impact on a variety of businesses. He stressed that Bitcoin is a superior asset that outperforms traditional assets and has the potential for 50% annual growth. Michael Saylor attributed Bitcoin's success to its simplicity and efficiency, contrasting with established banking institutions' complexity and inefficiency. As MicroStrategy's CEO, he stated that the company will continue to buy Bitcoin, promote its use, and educate others about it. Saylor encouraged other enterprises to embrace the Bitcoin standard and recapitalize using Bitcoin, anticipating big reforms in industries and social order. Let's go back to the interview and watch more clips to gain insights from Michael Saylor.
I think the next 10 years are a very rapid transformation along at least two dimensions that I'm familiar with. There may be more than two that I am not familiar with, but the two I'm familiar with would be digital money and digital intelligence.
Yeah.
And it's pretty clear that there's hundreds of trillions of dollars of capital, which is analog money. And as people start to transform the analog to the digital, you're going to see profound disruptions in business models, financial applications and financial institutions. And a lot of things people took for granted for the last 30 years, they'll just throw out the window and say, what? Like if I run a survey on Twitter right now and I ask you how many of you are going to, invest in Bitcoin versus equities versus gold versus something else, I think like 3% of the people say equity. People just don't think that way anymore.
It's a transition.
And I think with intelligence, the AIs didn't work until they started working, and I guess they started working last year, and we're either in we're year 2, we're year 1 or year 2. I think we're year 1 of adoption of digital money, and I think maybe we're year 2 of adoption of digital intelligence. And I think they're going to spread like wildfire. So this is a big stack of complex, inefficient stuff, a lot of wasted energy. And this is one thing, very simple. That's why this goes up 50% a year and the S&P goes up 10% a year. And as people look at that, they'll realize I can get 10% performance with a stack of this inefficient, thermodynamically leaking Rube Goldberg devices, or I can just buy this one thing which is thermodynamically sound, which will outperform all this other stuff by a factor of 2 to 5 to 10 to whatever. And so those two dynamics, they'll go hard for the next decade, and they'll reform your industry, reform your job, reform the social order. MicroStrategy is a Bitcoin development company. So MicroStrategy's mission is to develop, advocate, support the adoption of Bitcoin everywhere in the world. So that's what we'll do. We'll do that forever. We'll keep doing that.
And you keep buying.
How will we do that? We will do that by buying Bitcoin every single quarter. Buy more Bitcoin. We'll buy it with cash flows. We'll buy it with debt. We'll buy it with equity. We'll buy it with any other capital markets activity that we can. Those opportunities will change from quarter to quarter, from time to time. I can't tell you how we'll be buying Bitcoin in 10 years, but I can tell you that we will likely be buying Bitcoin. We'll be supporting the education of Bitcoin.
Cool. Yeah.
There's 45,000 publicly traded companies. How many are on the Bitcoin standard?
1.
Every time I meet companies and CEOs, what do you think I say to them? I say,
buy Bitcoin.
you should recapitalize your company on Bitcoin.
In Otter news, since closing above $64,000 last week, the price of Bitcoin has increased significantly by 10%, although it is currently holding steady. Jerome Powell, the chairman of the Federal Reserve, stated that a September interest rate reduction is expected, which caused this spike. Consequently, there is almost $500 million in US spot Bitcoin ETFs, suggesting a favorable attitude among investors. This capital inflow indicates that investors are growing to invest in Bitcoin as they become more optimistic about the cryptocurrency's future. Investor confidence has resulted in the updated interest rate decrease, which has caused investment in Bitcoin ETFs. With this significant rise, the total reserves held by US spot Bitcoin ETFs are now $44.60 billion. The increase in reserves suggests that investors are becoming more eager to invest in Bitcoin due to their growing confidence in its potential. On-chain data also favors a bullish prediction for the price of Bitcoin. Over the previous 3 days, the Miners Position Index, which calculates the ratio of miners' outflows in USD divided by the 365-day moving average, has dropped from negative 0.63 to negative 1.46. This suggests that miners are taking a less active role in the market, easing selling pressure and supporting a higher price. Further supporting the price is the possibility that miners are holding onto their Bitcoin rather than selling it, as indicated by the decline in the Miners Position Index. Moreover, financing rates, a crucial gauge of the mood in the futures market, favor the perpetual swaps market. Buyer dominance and bullish sentiment are reflected in the current funding rate of 0.008. This implies that traders with long positions drive the market, which adds credibility to the optimistic assessment of Bitcoin's price. As we conclude, what do you think is the potential impact of increasing adoption of Bitcoin on the global financial systems? Please drop your thoughts in the comments below, share this video, and hit your thumbs on the like button. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe.